Astrophiles or someone who's a geek for space, this one's for you. The universe is a tremendous black sea that lies beyond what our naked eyes can see. The advances in technology have made such feats possible. A spacecraft can be packed with enough exploration equipment to unravel the mysteries of deep space. We all love the open skies of space, but there are limitations to what one can do in space. They say the sky's the limit, so strap yourselves in and get ready to fly through 10 challenging things you can't do in space. Number 10. Restroom. What intrigues you the most is that astronauts' bathroom time is a scientific challenge. When you consider the difficulties astronauts face in dealing with their bowel movements, we regular Earthlings may be taking our home toilets for granted.
Hello, and welcome to the toilet of the International Space Station.
Astronauts poop into a tiny hole just the size of a plate, and a fan vacuum suck their waste away. Sounds challenging, right? Well, what if I tell you that the International Space Station, or ISS, is a champion when it comes to recycling? The ISS is a huge spacecraft that orbits our planet. Even astronaut urine is captured and processed to make it drinkable. A new system aboard the ISS will be able to turn urine into drinking water in an efficient manner.
Do astronauts drink their own pee? Well, thank you for asking us to repeat these questions. In a sense, yes.
Well, that's one way to quench your thirst. While in space, astronauts recycle their own urine to drink it later since water is heavy and hard to transport into orbit. Their urine is removed using a different funnel, including a fan suction. The astronauts' waste is collected, placed in a plastic bag, and subsequently sent on a cargo ship that explodes as it approaches the Earth. Not to crash any of your dreams, but maybe you want to think twice once you see a shooting star up in the sky. Number 9. Crying. Astronaut Chris Hadfield tweeted how it feels to cry in space. Whilst laughter may be the best medicine, researchers say crying can also be good for our physical and mental health as it releases endorphins, which are feel-good chemicals.
And so if you keep crying, you just end up with a bigger and bigger ball of water in your eye.
Wow, looks like astronauts crying in space is a little difficult. You don't want that ball of water in your eye to get bigger, do you? It's unsurprising that astronauts may weep after spending several months in space. Unfortunately, it's kind of impossible to cry in outer space. Thanks to gravity, tears here on Earth flow down our cheeks naturally. However, you can absolutely cry out in space with zero gravity, but tears cannot flow downward. Instead, it turns into a liquid ball that can sting the eyes. Number 8. Fire. No flames? That must be difficult for scientists in space. It is said that fire is the first technology, perhaps even one of the greatest inventions in civilization. It helps you cook that yummy dish you just ate and keeps you warm during those cold nights. Although in space, fire can be a bit tricky.
The really cool thing, they found in space combustion can happen with no visible flames at all.
According to New Scientist, fires cannot start in space because there's no oxygen or anything else in a vacuum. However, within the limitations of spacecraft and without the influence of gravity, flames behave in peculiarly lovely ways. They have strange shapes, burn at lower temperatures, and use odd chemistry. Number 7. Bread. Bread is prohibited in space. That must be hard for astronauts craving a nice sandwich or some toast. Do you know how crumbs fly everywhere when you take a bite of bread? Well, that's a problem in space. Since there's no gravity, the crumbs of your bread will float away and can be a potential hazard to equipment, leading to some unwanted scenarios.
So what did NASA do? They banned bread from space. No more bread in space.
Number 6. Alcohol. I heard astronauts are throwing a party in space. Want to help them plan it? Heads up though, astronauts can't drink alcohol while on a space mission. Though that was not the first case, space authorities permitted its consumption back then. However, the critics heavily disapproved of this kind of behavior. According to Daniel G. Huot, a spokesman for NASA's Johnson Space Center, alcohol is not allowed to be consumed on the ISS, given the potential effects that its components may have on the station's water recovery system. The use of alcohol and other flammable liquids is restricted on the ISS. Consequently, goods like mouthwash, perfume, and aftershave that contain alcohol are not even offered to astronauts aboard the space station. Most importantly, regarding the issue of responsibility, astronauts should uphold their values and be role models for others. Drivers and jet pilots aren't allowed to drive while intoxicated. So it's no surprise that the same rule applies to astronauts on the $150 billion space station. Number 5. Wear a special suit outside.
To the skin.
And getting the entire suit on requires a bit of help.
There's many layers of this, so it makes it a little difficult to get in.
Astronauts must find it difficult to wear spacesuits, but wouldn't it be fun to try one on? Michael Jackson might be famous for his moonwalk, but astronauts and cosmonauts also have something up their sleeves: spacewalks. For the 5th on our list, astronauts can't go outside without a special spacesuit. As cool as it might sound, finally exploring the wonders beyond Earth. Unfortunately, astronauts need special suits whenever they're out for their spacewalks. In an astronaut spacewalk, sometimes referred to as extravehicular activity, astronauts leave the fairly secure confines of the International Space Station to make repairs to the spacecraft's exterior, such as replacing solar panels. They had to put on spacesuits when doing these. Astronauts are shielded from these sweltering temperatures by their spacesuits. Additionally, oxygen is provided inside the suit for astronauts to breathe in the vacuum of space. Lastly, they shield astronauts from harm caused by the collision of microscopic space dust particles. Number 4. Muscle mass. While it might be ideal or a dream to just float and relax your muscles in a microgravity shuttle, it can have a major consequence on the body. Our muscles were developed to withstand the Earth's gravity, allowing us to survive on the planet's surface. Hence, being without gravity for such a long period can cause muscle mass loss. As per the study by NASA, our muscles weaken and deteriorate without regular use and exercise. It's a process called atrophy. Studies have shown that astronauts experience up to a 20% loss of muscle mass on space flights lasting 5 to 11 days. Number 3. Sleeping in space style. After a long, grueling day, there's nothing better than a good night's sleep. After those space missions, being an astronaut can be exhausting. Have you ever wondered how they snooze and heard the rumor, the best sleep is in space? Astronauts sleep in tiny sleeping rooms while wearing sleeping bags. To prevent floating, they loosely fasten their bodies with the straps. Well, you wouldn't want to float or damage anything in space, would you? Since no gravity holds the body down, muscles are completely relaxed. A former NASA astronaut confirmed it's the best sleep he ever had.
But for me, once I got used to it after a couple days, it was probably the best sleeping I've ever had.
Number 2. Modify daily routines.
Okay, so now what am I going to do? I've got a mouthful of toothpaste stuff. I got a dirty toothbrush. So what I do is I just swallow the toothpaste.
Can you believe that? The astronaut just swallowed a toothpaste. Humans on Earth may be unconsciously on autopilot, performing daily tasks such as brushing their teeth or even taking a bath as it comes naturally. Contrary-wise, all thanks to the absence of gravity, these daily tasks need a bit of spin in outer space. For that ideal smile, good oral hygiene is a need. Yes, remember to brush your teeth even while you're in space. Gotta take care of that smile that could light up a whole town. Since running water is not available in space, astronauts do not have the luxury of brushing their teeth in the sink. Instead, they use drink bags, which are little foil pouches filled with water with a straw attached and a regular toothbrush, just like the ordinary ones you have. They then begin by squeezing water from the drinking bags while gliding over their toothbrush. This will cause the toothbrush to absorb the water. Afterward, they brush their teeth like how they do on Earth. All they need to do is clean their brush after brushing their teeth and wipe it off with a cloth, and voila, they're done. As for taking a bath, it's also just like brushing their teeth. They use a wash towel and already pre-mixed warm water in a pouch.
You know, it's a little bit like camping or taking a sponge bath, except it is warm water and it feels good and it gets you clean.
Number 1. Space pens. Legend has it that the scientists of NASA discovered that pens could not function in space during the height of the space race in the 1960s. Since the ink would not flow by gravity to the ball, the pen would spill if pressure were applied to the ink reservoir. Therefore, standard ballpoint pens cannot function in space. As for their Soviet counterparts or the cosmonauts, they use pencils. However, the pencil tip could break and be a potential hazard to cosmonauts and equipment as it floats away. So, pencils and regular pens were off the list. Thus, the legendary Fisher's space pen was born. Fisher's pen doesn't rely on gravity to start the ink flowing as most ballpoint pens do. Instead, a gas like nitrogen is inflated inside the cartridge at a pressure of 35 pounds per square inch. Let's talk about this 35-pound bar. It is almost as heavy as a gold bar in your hands, so you might need to ask for some help. This pressure pushes the use of eclectic light filaments or tungsten carbide ball at the pen's tip toward the center. Ooh, bonus fact! This anti-gravity pen not only works in space but also underwater, on greasy paper, at any angle, or even at any temperature. There might be some human restrictions one can do in space, but to infinity and beyond, right? This phrase may sound like your typical Disney cool catchphrases, but if you think about it, it's more than that. It reminds us that limitless possibilities waiting up ahead for us to discover. Who knows, maybe one day you might party in space. In light of the many lists of items prohibited in space, would you want to live in space? Or would you just stay here on Earth for a normal life? Comment down below. That's the end of our trip on the 10 space limit facts.